Today, we're opening up the global ledger to see who actually manufactures the news you consume every single day. Because trust me, the architecture of your daily feed, it is absolutely not what it seems. So, where does your news come from? You wake up, you scroll through social media, maybe flip on the TV, and bam, you are immediately flooded with global headlines. It's designed to give you this really comforting illusion of a massive, decentralized free press. Right? Like, we picture thousands of independent journalists out there on the front lines. This diverse army of watchdogs, just digging up the raw, unfiltered truth and beaming it straight to our screens. But, man, here is the massive plot twist. That entire global information matrix you literally just scrolled through, it relies almost entirely on exactly 3 wholesale distributors. Just 3. Crazy, right? Section 1. The illusion of choice and the decentralized facade. If you look really closely at the very bottom of major articles, you're going to find 3 recurring acronyms basically acting as the ghostwriters of modern reality. Reuters, the Associated Press, and Agence France-Presse. The big 3. We've got this romanticized ideal of independent frontline reporting, but the reality? The reality is highly efficient, centralized copy-pasting just dressed up to look like independent journalism. Moving on to Section 2, the big 3 wholesalers and how we're outsourcing reality. Here is the bottom line. True, boots-on-the-ground journalism is incredibly expensive. Running foreign bureaus and sending teams into conflict zones completely drains budgets. So, media organizations take the cost-effective route. They just outsource it all by subscribing to the big 3. Think of it like this highly efficient 3-step supply chain. Step 1, an agency reporter writes up a raw dispatch. Step 2, that dispatch gets pushed into this massive global network. And Step 3, your local morning show simply copy-pastes that exact same report.
Now sure, local editors might rewrite the headline to grab your attention. Maybe they swap out a few adjectives to perfectly match their local political bias. But make no mistake, the core template, the actual narrative DNA of the story, remains exactly the same.
Which brings us to Section 3, the narrative filtration system and setting the frame.
We call this narrative selection, because the entire world relies on this one single pipeline. 3 editorial boards hold staggering power. They literally establish objective reality simply by choosing what to cover and, maybe more importantly, what to completely ignore.
There is this brilliant quote that perfectly captures it. You aren't being told what to think, you're being told what to think about. If the big 3 decide to ignore a conflict, it stays off the front pages globally. Public awareness just never even develops.
By controlling that very first piece of copy, these agencies control the entire cognitive framing. They are literally establishing the boundaries of permissible thought. They dictate exactly what language is acceptable to use before a debate even begins.
All right, Section 4, Cartels of Information. Let's open the ledger.
Opening the ledger reveals this massive web of corporate and state alignment. You've got Reuters, owned by a gigantic Wall Street financial data conglomerate. AP, dominated by corporate media executives. And AFP is heavily subsidized by the French state framework.
And you know what this ownership structure creates? A highly technical, sanitizing lens. Whenever banking crises or massive monopolies are exposed, these standardized editorial guidelines kick in. The reporting minimizes public panic and prioritizes systemic stability above all else.
It's honestly a brilliant mechanism of passive structural censorship. It's not maintained by some iron-fisted dictator. No, it is maintained cleanly and quietly through corporate subscriptions and basic budget constraints. Finally, Section 5, the ultimate monopoly. Welcome to the Matrix.
We constantly agonize over social media algorithmic echo chambers dividing us, right? But we completely ignore the singular, centralized broadcast tower that's actually feeding both camps their raw data. The right and the left might be shouting at each other, but they are reacting to the exact same wire feed. The free press was designed from the start to be a fierce, decentralized watchguard. But when that watchguard relies entirely on 3 wholesale suppliers for its eyes and ears, it completely ceases to be a watchguard. It literally becomes the matrix itself.
So the next time you see 20 different outlets parroting the exact same headline, just stop. Take a breath. You are not witnessing some miraculous consensus of truth. You are simply witnessing the echo of a wire. Because when you trace the data all the way back to its source, the greatest monopoly on Earth isn't controlling your money, and it isn't controlling your land. It is managing the thoughts inside your head.
If the very foundation of your independent thought is built on wholesale, centralized data, how can you ever be absolutely sure that the script hasn't already been written for you? Really think about that the next time you check the news.